Imagine a pope who commanded armies, commissioned the greatest artists of the Renaissance, and reshaped the map of Italy, yet lived a life riddled with scandal, secrecy, and disease. Pope Julius II, the so-called warrior pope, was as ambitious and ruthless in politics as he was indulgent in his private life. Behind the power of the papacy, whispers of forbidden desires and immoral indulgences followed him through the corridors of the Vatican. He fathered children, pursued relationships with men, and ultimately contracted syphilis, an affliction that would humiliate the leader of the church itself. Stay with this story, because by the end, you'll understand how the personal life of one pope became a scandal that shook Rome, challenged the sanctity of the church, and left a mark on history that few dared to record openly. Julius II became pope in 1503, a time when the papacy was both a religious and political powerhouse. Known as the warrior pope, he pursued a vision of the papacy as a dominant secular authority, one capable of conquering lands, influencing kings, and dictating the course of Italian politics. While previous popes had relied primarily on diplomacy, Julius believed in force. He led armies to reclaim territories for the papal states and negotiated power through a combination of intimidation and strategic brilliance. Yet this public image of unyielding authority concealed a far more complex personal life. Julius railed against the moral corruption of his predecessors, especially Alexander VI, yet he did not maintain a pristine moral record himself. He had children before entering the papacy, bypassing the vow of celibacy, and engaged in behaviors that would scandalize even the most permissive of contemporaries. The same man who projected strength, courage, and control was vulnerable to desires and indulgences that left him exposed to ridicule, political attacks, and even disease. From the very beginning of his papacy, the tension between his public and private life created a narrative of paradox. How could a man capable of inspiring armies to fight in his name also become the subject of whispers about prostitutes, secret liaisons, and a devastating illness? The answer lies in the details of his personal indulgences and the vulnerabilities they exposed. Before becoming pope, Julius had already led a life filled with complexities and contradictions. He fathered 3 daughters, a fact that directly violated church celibacy rules, and his romantic interests extended beyond women. Historians widely suggest that Julius, like his uncle Sixtus IV, was bisexual. Rumors of male lovers and intimate friendships persisted throughout his papacy, though direct evidence is scarce. Among these rumors, one was particularly persistent: his visits to Rome's male prostitutes. Whether politically motivated or grounded in truth, these whispers became central to his public image and the perception of his moral character. They painted a picture of a pope whose private desires were at odds with the public morality he professed to uphold. The pope's emotional intensity toward his close companions further fueled speculation. The story of the governor of Bologna, summoned to Rome to answer accusations of corruption, illustrates this vividly. Witnesses described the normally stern Julius softening in the presence of the governor, a scene interpreted by many as evidence of personal attachment or attraction. This was a rare glimpse into the Pope's vulnerability, showing that his relationships were not only strategic, but deeply personal. Tragedy soon struck in Julius's personal circle. Cardinal Aldosi, one of his closest companions, was murdered. Julius's reaction shocked Rome. He barricaded himself in his rooms, refusing food for days. When he finally emerged, he traveled from Ravenna to Rimini in a closed litter, sobbing so loudly that passersby could hear his grief. The Pope's public displays of vulnerability were unprecedented and, to some, scandalous. They revealed a man deeply capable of affection, attachment, and mourning, emotions often hidden by the austere authority of the papacy. Julius's personal indulgences did not remain private. His fondness for men and his emotional intensity became targets for political rivals and public gossip. Rome was a city where rumor could damage reputations, and Julius' behavior provided ample fodder. Critics mocked him for his relationships and accused him of being easily swayed by those he favored. His enemies leveraged these suspicions, using his private indulgences to question his public authority and moral standing. Despite this, Julius remained a figure of extraordinary influence. His military campaigns and cultural projects ensured his dominance, but his vulnerabilities, the very human flaws he tried to conceal, continued to generate whispers of scandal. And while rumors could harm reputation, they became terrifyingly dangerous when linked to disease, an accusation that would cut to the very core of his papal authority. If the story of Julius II so far has captured your attention, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. We're about to delve into the part of his life that combined scandal, politics, and disease in a way that challenged the very sanctity of the papacy. You won't want to miss it. Julius's political ambitions created enemies beyond Rome. King Louis VII of France grew frustrated with Julius's manipulation of Italian politics and his territorial ambitions. In response, Louis called the Fifth Lateran Council, officially to address ecclesiastical concerns, but in reality, as a forum to challenge Julius' authority. At this council, Julius faced not only political criticism, but personal attacks. He was publicly accused of sodomy and, more shockingly, of having ulcers covering his body as a result of syphilis. These accusations were not merely slander. Historical records suggest they were grounded in truth. Syphilis, contracted through sexual activity, afflicted Julius in a highly visible and humiliating way, undermining his moral authority at a moment when every public action was scrutinized. The impact of these allegations was immediate and profound. A pope was supposed to be a moral and spiritual exemplar, untouchable by the very diseases and vices that afflicted common men. Yet Julius's body became a symbol of indulgence and human frailty, visible to the clergy, nobility, and citizens of Rome alike. Syphilis was not just a physical illness, it was a scandal, a visible marker of sexual impropriety. For a pope to suffer from such a disease was an extraordinary paradox. On Good Friday in 1508, Julius II refused to allow the people of Rome to kiss his feet, a sacred ritual, because painful lesions made it impossible. The symbolic power of this refusal was staggering. A pope, the spiritual head of millions, had been brought low by disease acquired through indulgence. Historical accounts suggest that syphilis shaped Julius's daily life and public interactions. He continued to lead armies, govern the church, and commission art, but the disease forced him to adopt strategies to hide his suffering. The ulcers, visible evidence of indulgence and vulnerability, became a tool for his enemies and a source of public fascination. The connection between Julius's personal life and this illness cannot be overstated. While rumors of male lovers and indulgence in prostitutes had circulated for years, syphilis provided undeniable proof, or at least the appearance of it, that his private life was entangled with risk, shame, and scandal. Despite illness, rumors, and ridicule, Julius II's accomplishments were extraordinary. He reshaped the papal territories, led military campaigns that defined Italian politics, and commissioned works of art that endure as masterpieces of the Renaissance. The Sistine Chapel ceiling, Michelangelo's David, and Bramante's architectural projects were all products of Julius's vision and patronage. Yet, the contradictions of his life were stark. A pope who demanded moral authority in the public sphere indulged in relationships and behaviors that directly contradicted the church's teachings. His syphilis, his emotional vulnerability, and his attachments to men became tools for political adversaries. These personal elements, once exposed, threatened the very perception of the papacy as untouchable and sacred. Julius II's story invites reflection on the tension between power and humanity. He wielded extraordinary influence, yet he was not immune to desire, vulnerability, and disease. His life demonstrates that even the most powerful individuals are shaped and sometimes undone by their personal choices. The duality of Julius II, warrior and lover, conqueror and mourner, powerful and flawed, creates a narrative that continues to captivate historians and the public alike. His private life did not erase his accomplishments, but it complicated them, adding layers of intrigue, scandal, and human complexity to the story of the Renaissance papacy. Julius II's life is a testament to the fragility of human authority in the face of desire, indulgence, and mortality. He conquered lands and shaped culture, yet he could not conquer the vulnerabilities of the body or the whispers of scandal. His story forces us to ask difficult questions. Can power exist alongside human imperfection? Should history judge leaders by their private indulgences or their public achievements? For the people of his time, Julius II was at once inspiring and scandalous, a man capable of profound influence and profound error. Today, he remains a symbol of the paradoxical nature of power, an enduring reminder that history is as fascinated by human flaws as it is by human triumphs. If you found this journey into the life of Julius II compelling, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. There are countless more stories of power, scandal, and secrecy waiting to be uncovered, and you won't want to miss them. And tell me in the comments, does Julius's private life make him more human, or does it tarnish his legacy forever?